Death is a subject we approach with quiet reverence. When we lay our loved ones to rest, we trust that their final resting place will remain exactly that, final and undisturbed. But occasionally, circumstances arise where the earth is asked to yield what it has claimed. This is the solemn process of exhumation. It is a profoundly sensitive and incredibly rare legal procedure that disrupts the permanence of burial. Whether for legal, historical, or deeply personal family reasons, the decision is never taken lightly. In this guide, we will explore exactly when and why this difficult step is taken, providing you with clear, empathetic information to help you understand a deeply complex topic. When a loved one is laid to rest, we naturally assume it will be forever, but there are times when circumstances dictate otherwise. This process is known as exhumation, or disinterment. Quite simply, it is the act of legally and respectfully removing human remains from their original place of burial. It is important to distinguish exhumation from other after-death procedures. Unlike cremation, which is a method of final disposition, or a simple reinterment within the exact same burial plot to accommodate another casket, a full exhumation involves entirely unearthing the deceased and transferring them to a new location or facility. Whether driven by a family's personal wishes, legal requirements, or historical investigations, exhumation is never taken lightly. It is a highly regulated, deeply emotional, and delicate procedure guided by dedicated funeral professionals. These experts work behind the scenes to ensure the absolute utmost dignity and respect for the departed, every step of the way. Exhuming a body is never a simple request. In fact, most legal systems operate under a general presumption against exhumation. Once a person is laid to rest, the law strongly favors leaving them undisturbed, unless exceptionally compelling reasons exist to do otherwise. It is a highly complex legal process. To overcome this legal hurdle, one must navigate a strict bureaucratic maze. Families, historians, and investigators cannot simply decide to open a grave on a whim. They must obtain specific permits, licenses, and very often, direct court orders. This process typically involves multiple layers of authority. Depending on the jurisdiction, you might need approval from the local health department to ensure public safety, authorization from the local government or cemetery board, and a mandate from a judge. Petitions for exhumation must clearly state the exact reason for the request, whether it is for moving the remains to a new family plot, launching a criminal investigation, or conducting vital historical research. Furthermore, legal standing is required. Usually, only the closest living relatives or the state can initiate this process. The paperwork is extensive, requiring meticulous attention to detail to satisfy the rigorous demands of the court and protect the dignity of the deceased. While the idea of disturbing a final resting place is unsettling, there are very specific and rare circumstances where exhumation is legally or personally necessary. The most widely known reason, often popularized by true crime documentaries, is for criminal investigations. When a death is later deemed suspicious or when new evidence comes to light in a cold case, investigators may petition for an exhumation. This allows forensic pathologists to perform a second autopsy, search for trace poisons previously missed, or gather crucial evidence that could finally bring a killer to justice. Closely tied to legal investigations is the need for identification. Decades ago, many individuals were buried as John or Jane Does because the technology simply did not exist to identify them. Today, incredible advancements in forensic science and genealogy mean that a tiny bone fragment or a single tooth can yield a complete DNA profile. Exhuming these unidentified remains allows scientists to match DNA with missing persons databases, finally giving the deceased their name back and providing long-awaited closure to grieving families. But exhumation isn't always about crime or science. Frequently, it is driven by deeply personal family decisions or religious obligations. A family might request an exhumation to move a loved one so they can be reburied in a newly purchased family estate, ensuring everyone rests together. Other times, it involves repatriation. bringing a deceased family member back to their native country after they passed away abroad. Furthermore, certain religious laws and traditions may dictate specific burial conditions that were not initially met, prompting a respectful transfer of the remains to a more appropriate site. Finally, exhumations occur on a larger scale due to cemetery relocation and public works. As cities expand and modernize, historical cemeteries sometimes find themselves in the direct path of major infrastructure projects, like new highways or railways. In other cases, natural disasters like severe flooding or coastal erosion threaten to wash away coastal graveyards, making immediate relocation a matter of public health. In these massive logistical efforts, specialists carefully exhume and transfer thousands of remains to newly established memorial grounds, preserving history while making way for the future. The physical act of exhumation is an incredibly meticulous and sensitive procedure. It begins long before any soil is turned. A designated area is carefully cordoned off, and privacy screens are erected to shield the site from public view, ensuring utmost respect and dignity. This delicate undertaking is never a solitary job. It requires a coordinated team of highly trained professionals. Funeral directors, specialized cemetery staff, and often forensic experts or medical personnel work closely together. Their presence guarantees that every step adheres strictly to stringent health and safety regulations, while maintaining profound reverence for the process. The actual excavation is conducted with extreme caution. Heavy machinery is rarely used in close proximity to the vault. Instead, the team relies on specialized, small-scale excavation equipment, like mini excavators, and transitions to manual hand tools as they get closer. Every layer of earth is removed slowly and methodically. Throughout the entire process, the primary focus remains on safety, structural integrity, and professionalism. The overarching goal is to safely retrieve the casket or vault intact, treating the resting place with the highest level of care and solemnity. While the emotional toll is often the primary focus, the financial reality of an exhumation is equally significant. Make no mistake, this is a very expensive undertaking. The costs extend far beyond simply moving a casket and can quickly reach tens of thousands of dollars. Let us break down these typical expenses. The total bill includes legal fees and court costs to secure necessary orders, along with mandatory administrative permits. A major portion goes to professional services, covering funeral directors, cemetery staff, and sometimes forensic experts. Finally, you must factor in specialized equipment and the costs of new burial arrangements. It is important to understand that there is no standard flat rate. Costs vary widely depending on your jurisdiction, cemetery regulations, and the complexity of the excavation. Removing a vault from a crowded historic cemetery requires far different labor than an open, modern memorial park. Because these variables make universal pricing impossible, you should never rely on rough guesses. It is highly recommended to consult with a licensed funeral director or a legal professional who understands your local laws. They can provide accurate, location-specific estimates to help you prepare financially for the journey ahead. Exhumation is undoubtedly a rare and complex process, often driven by profound personal, legal, or historical reasons. While it is not a decision made lightly, understanding the steps involved can bring peace of mind during a difficult time. Thank you for watching. If you or someone you know is navigating these complex decisions, please visit funeralus.com for compassionate guidance. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Take care.